A cauldron of 10,000 fans packed shoulder to shoulder, their voices a deafening roar that shakes the steel rafters. UFC Vegas 107 is in full swing, the octagon at the center of it all, its black canvas scarred with the sweat and blood of earlier bouts. Under the blinding lights, Bruno Lopes, a Brazilian light heavyweight with a frame carved from granite and, eyes burning with quiet intensity, paces in his corner. His muscles ripple under the sheen of sweat, his taped hands flexing as he stares across the cage. His opponent, Jacob Reed, a lean, wiry American with a reputation for devastating kicks, bounces lightly on his toes, his gaze cold and calculating. The crowd's chants swirl around them, a chaotic mix of Lopes him and Reed's gonna bleed. The referee, a stern figure with a salt and pepper beard, steps to the center, his voice sharp as he calls for the final round to begin. Joe Rogan's voice crackles through the broadcast, amplified to millions watching at home. He's shouting about the stakes, how Bruno's been grinding through this fight with relentless pressure, his Brazilian jiu-jitsu a constant threat. Daniel Cormier, his co-commentator, adds a measured tone, pointing out that Reed's striking has kept him in the game, landing a brutal knee in the second round that nearly dropped Bruno. The clock shows 2 minutes left in the third, and the fighters are battered but unyielding. Bruno's left cheek is swollen, a purple bruise blooming under his eye while Reed's nose trickles blood, his breath's ragged. The crowd senses a finish, their screams peaking as Bruno charges forward. He throws a crisp jab, snapping Reed's head back, then ducks a wild right hook. Reed counters with a spinning heel kick, the kind that's knocked out lesser men. But Bruno sways just in time, the kick grazing his shoulder. The fans leap to their feet, their cheers a physical force. Bruno's corner, a trio of grizzled coaches shouting in Portuguese, urges him to close the distance. He listens, his instincts honed from years in Rio's fight gyms. He feints left, then explodes forward, wrapping his arms around Reed's waist and slamming him against the cage. The impact is a dull, bone-rattling thud that makes the front row flinch. Reed struggles, his elbows digging into Bruno's ribs, but Bruno's grip is iron, his strength forged in countless hours of grappling. Rogan's voice surges, calling Bruno a bulldog, his tenacity unmatched. Cormier agrees, noting Reed's got to break free or risk being smothered. Bruno lifts Reed slightly, then sweeps his legs, dragging him to the mat with a textbook takedown. The crowd roars, sensing the tide turning. On the ground, Bruno is a predator, his movements precise yet ferocious. He slides into half guard, pinning Reed's hips while firing short punches to the body. Reed squirms, his face contorted, trying to buck Bruno off. The clock ticks down to 1 minute, the arena a pressure cooker of noise and heat. Bruno shifts, hunting for a better position, his knees digging into the mat as he traps Reed's arm and swings into full mount. The fans are rabid now, chanting Bruno's name like a war cry. Rogan's shouting about the danger, how Bruno's ground and pound could end it. But Bruno's not content with punches. He snakes his left arm under Reed's chin, his bicep pressing against the American's throat. Reed's eyes widen, his hands clawing at Bruno's arm as the rear naked choke locks in. Cormier's voice spikes, warning that Reed's got seconds to escape. The crowd counts down, 30 seconds, 20. Reed thrashes, his legs kicking wildly, but Bruno's grip is unrelenting, his forearm a vice. With 15 seconds left, Reed's movements slow, his face purple, his hand tapping frantically on Bruno's arm. The referee dives in, waving it off just as the buzzer blares. Bruno leaps to his feet, his chest heaving, sweat cascading down his face, stomping feet. He roars, pounding his chest, his eyes wild with triumph. Reed rolls to his knees, head bowed as medics rush in. The announcer, a booming voice in a sharp suit, grabs the mic and strides to the center. He declares Bruno Lopes the winner by submission, and the crowd's roar redoubles, shaking the arena's foundation. Bruno's coaches swarm him, slapping his back, but he waves them off, his focus elsewhere. He snatches the microphone from the announcer, his breaths heavy, his voice raw but steady. The crowd hushes, sensing something extraordinary. Bruno's eyes scan the stands, locking onto a woman in the front row. Maria, her dark hair tied back, her face streaked with tears, clutches the barricade. She's wearing a faded Brazilian flag t-shirt, her hands trembling. Bruno's voice breaks as he speaks, each word heavy with emotion. He says this fight, this moment, it's all for her. Every bruise, every sleepless night, every drop of blood. He did it for Maria. The crowd holds its breath as he pauses, his chest rising and falling. Then he says it, the words that echo through the arena like a gunshot. I love you, Maria. I'm coming home. The fans explode, their cheers a mix of awe and joy, some clapping, others wiping tears. Maria's hands fly to her face, sobs shaking her shoulders. She blows kisses, her lips forming the words, I love you back. Bruno points at her, his face softening, the warrior giving way to the man. Rogan's voice cuts through, calling it a moment that'll be replayed for years. A raw slice of humanity in a brutal sport. Cormier laughs, saying Bruno's got the heart of a lion and the soul of a poet. The cameras zoom in, capturing Maria's tearful smile, her hands pressed to her heart. Bruno hands the mic back, his eyes never leaving her, and climbs out of the octagon. He moves like a man possessed, ignoring the flashing cameras and outstretched hands of fans. He vaults the barricade, landing in the front row where Maria waits. They collide in an embrace, her arms wrapping around his sweat-soaked shoulders, his hands cupping her face. The crowd roars its approval, some chanting, Maria, Maria, as if she's the co-star of this victory. Flashbulbs pop, freezing. The moment, a fighter, bruised and bloodied, holding the woman who anchored him through the chaos. Rogan's voice softens, marveling at the power of love in a sport built on violence. Cormier adds that this is what makes UFC special. These glimpses of heart amid the carnage. The broadcast shifts to a replay, slow-motion shots of the fight's final moments. Bruno's takedown, the choke locking in, Reed's desperate taps. Then it cuts to Bruno's sprint to Maria, their embrace framed against the roaring crowd. The arena's energy is palpable, a shared celebration of not just a win but a story unfolding. Bruno and Maria linger for a moment, foreheads pressed together, oblivious to the chaos around them. His coaches finally reach him, pulling him back toward the tunnel, but he keeps one arm around Maria, guiding her with him. As they disappear, into the shadows, the crowd's chants follow, a rhythmic Lopes, Lopes, that feels like a heartbeat. The broadcast fades to the UFC Vegas 107 logo, but the moment lingers, etched into the night. Bruno's victory isn't just the submission, the tap-out, the roar of the crowd. It's the promise he kept, the love he laid bare in front of the world. The screen cuts to black, leaving the fans buzzing, their voices carrying the weight of a fight won